John Blackstone, you are our lovely patient and fellow Seattleite out here. I'm so honored to have you with us tonight and looking forward to what God has to share to kind of anchor this down for us tonight through your heart, through your gift, and through your talent. John has been around Seattle. He's been through Nashville. He's played with some amazing individuals, some great songwriters like Troy Seals has written a lot of music from our great bands like the Stones, from Clapton, from Ray Charles. And he's actually been able to have the honor to perform in Nashville, to record with people in Nashville, and also have the essence of a great experience to have on your resume to say you got to play at the Bluebird and some of the neat things you got to share. We'll kind of get into that as we go. But thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for being the anchor for the Lord tonight. And I'm excited to hear what the Lord has through you. John Blackstone, please share a little bit about where you're at in your first song, and we'll continue our dialogue as the Lord leads.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
We had some issues earlier, so thank you for that introduction. I've been a musician since I was 5 years old. My parents, I grew up in a family that was very all my father, my uncle, my grandfather, all the men on my dad's side of the family were all professional musicians. And my dad actually played with Quincy Jones as he was a saxophone player, and he played with Quincy Jones back in the 50s. And my grandfather owned a music studio and a retail store, and he used to sell instruments to Jimi Hendrix, to the girls from Heart. Everybody from the Northwest used to go to his music store. And so the Blackstone kids, when they turned 5 years old, they were taken down to Grandpa's music store and asked what we want to play. And I saw an electric guitar hanging on the wall, and I guess, hip enough as a 5-year-old to pick that one. So I picked the electric guitar, and so I actually started playing electric guitar when I was 5. My grandpa actually gave me the electric guitar. And so he taught me for 5 years, and then I kind of gave it up. But when I became a teenager, I started becoming really interested in, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all these great bands. And I thought, that's interesting. I actually know how to play guitar already. So I started my first band when I was about 15. I had actually become a believer at the Billy Graham Crusade, which was the first event in the Seattle Kingdom. It was in 1977. I was 12 years old, and I went forward. It was a very real experience for me when I went forward to accept the Lord. But unfortunately, I didn't have anyone around me, including my own family or my friends, that were able to feed me in my faith. So I had this transformative experience, and I was 12 years old, and I really didn't know what to do with it. I had no one to feed me or no one to guide me in my faith. So when I became a musician at the age of 16, I basically went into that lifestyle of the rock music thing that everybody knows, that everybody does. And I did that, and I never lost my faith in God. I just never developed it. And so it was almost like this little seed of faith that was buried, waiting to be fed. And one time I was on tour with this band. I think I was 24, 25 years old, and I was partying the whole thing that everybody does that's not a Christian anyway. And I picked up I was in a hotel room because we were staying in hotels when we were on tour, and I just saw Gideon's Bible in the hotel room and started reading it. And it was literally as if that little seed of faith that had been born when I was 12 years old, it was like someone poured gasoline on it. And as soon as I started reading the Word, it just exploded. And that's when my life totally transformed. And I basically just really started a serious walk of faith with the Lord. And so I had been writing music for a long time, actually, before that happened. And but they were secular songs that I was writing, love songs and those types of things. But the very first song I ever wrote after I really dedicated my life to the Lord is called "The Shadow of Your Wings," and it's I just took it from the Psalms. It was Psalm 63, and it was just there was a phrase in there. In the shadow of your wings, I sing to you, and I saw that, and I just really captured my attention. And so, this is the very first Christian song I ever wrote. This is called "The Shadow of Your Wings." I want to follow you. My soul thirsts for you. In a dry and weary land where there is no water. Oh, my soul is satisfied, but I am filled with desire to be the one you want me to be. I feel your presence here, and I have seen your strength and glory, and your love is greater than life could ever be. Oh, my Lord, my heart clings to you. I'm lifted up in your hands, and I will praise you all my life. And in the shadow of your wings, I sing to you. I'll remember you before I sleep. I know you watch over me every night. You're my protection. You are my hope, and I will trust you till the day I die. When I come home, I hear your presence here, and I have seen your strength and glory, and your love is greater than life could ever be. Oh, my Lord, my heart clings to you. I'm lifted up in your hands, and I will praise you all my life. And in the shadow of your wings, I sing to you. And in the shadow of your wings, I sing to you. All of my life.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it makes me think of, you know, I work with Veterans for Worship, and we talk about that, like Psalm 91 kind of essence of being under the shadow of your wings and being, you know, protected and all those things. A great way to start your songwriting with the Lord. What a beautiful song.
Yeah.
I was, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, it's interesting that you said a great way to start off your songwriting, because it just kind of occurred to me that, you know, when I had started reading the Bible and was really excited about my faith, but I didn't have the knowledge or the depth to actually write something lyrically of my own, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why I went to the Psalms. I mean, I was looking specifically for something I could turn into a song. So that's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, that was the yeah. I remember when the first one came, and it's like, oh, I wonder how many there's gonna be. And somebody goes, one day you'll have a. You better start writing them down because you're gonna have a book full of them. You're gonna like forget them. I'm like, no, no, this is just a thing. But you know, to hear that, it just reminds me. I like how you said that. I was looking at some of the other things here, and not only knowing that you're out from the Seattle area here as well. You know, I know a lot of people that live one place and kind of live a second life in Nashville. They kind of live home, and then they eventually call Nashville home, and then they,
Yeah.
you know, there's something about being in the. Can you share that kind of difference in like being in that Nashville kind of quote versus kind of, you know, why do you think people really hone in there? Do you think it's just to be in the industry or to be in the, is there an energy that happens to a musician when they just get around a whole city full of people that are like them? Or did you find it became distraction for you being surrounded by so much that you could do that would take you off of the path that maybe you felt God had for you? I don't know why you told
Well,
me to ask you that question.
yeah. Actually, I when decided to go, to make a move in the music industry, or I decided in 1990, I decided that this is what I want to do. I want to be a Christian singer songwriter, and it just so happened that Nashville was where you go if you want to go into the contemporary Christian music industry. I didn't plan. I didn't. I basically was ready to go to either Nashville, New York, or Los Angeles, and God opened a door for me with a company called the William Morris Agency. It was actually a friend of Pastor Jim Lyons, who you know.
Yeah.
His friend, Steve Brawlier, who was a long-term friend of Pastor Jim, he was a guy that worked for the William Morris Agency in Nashville. And Jim Lyon told me, hey, I've got this friend in Nashville, and you should go down there. And so that's what led me down there, which is interesting that you and I are talking about this because I went down there, and Steve, the gentleman that worked at William Morris Agency, opened every door that basically he opened every door I could ever dream of. And I ended up um, doing showcases for record labels, but he was also setting me up with songwriters, Nashville songwriters, which was so great because I learned so much about songwriting and how to craft a song. I ended up co-writing with Margaret Becker, and I co-wrote with Troy Seals, as you mentioned already, who's written just, you wouldn't believe the songs that he's written. That's where I learned how to write songs. Really, was there. And but going into Nashville, it was interesting because it was the mecca of the contemporary Christian music industry, but Nashville did not feel like a spiritual town to me at all. And in fact, the more that I got into the doors of the Christian music business and industry, I decided I want nothing to do with this industry. It literally is nothing but just a straight up music business. It's just as seedy and corrupt as any other. It's just that they put that stamp of Christian on it.
Hmm.
And the artists, of course, are not that way. I'm talking about the people that own
Right.
and operate the actual record industry there. And so, after doing showcases for Word Records and Sparrow and Star Song, I had meetings with all those companies. And when I met the people, the A&R reps and the presidents of those record labels, I just thought, I don't want anything to do with this. So I packed out. I was in Nashville for 5 years, and I ended up recording my first album there. And God provided me with a benefactor that came in, and because I was getting ready to leave to move back to Seattle, basically shaking the dust off my feet from Nashville. And this guy that I went to church with out there said, "Hey, aren't you going to make an album? You've got a great band out here." And I said, "Well, I don't have a record deal." So he paid for me to make an album out there. And that led to I got to make my first record out there with the band that I had been playing with for 3 years out there, and that was so great. And I also got to work with Dee Murray and Nigel Olsson, who were the drummer and the bass player for the Elton John band in the 70s. They played on all of those hit songs: Rocket Man, Daniel, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, all of them. And they were living in Nashville, and I met Dee Murray when I was waiting tables one day, and it all led. So there were so many amazing things that happened for me in Nashville. God ended up blessing me hugely by going, but not at all for the reason I thought I was going, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was going down there to get a record deal, and it's like, that's not, God didn't have that in the works for me. And but he blessed me to make an album, and I got to work with these people who were musical heroes of mine, and just an amazing experience. So in answer to your question, I don't, Nashville is a great place to go specifically for songwriters. If you want to go and really learn how to write great songs, go to Nashville. If you're just a musician, I don't think it's a good place to go, because there's a very tight-knit circle of all the world-class A-level musicians that play on all of the records, and it's just this small group that play on all of these records.
I can be frustrated to feel like there's always a no.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Well, speaking of that, why don't you lead us into your next song here? And if you want to team up the next two and kind of like in a worshipful stint, kind of just have a moment. Why don't you partner the next two together and let's just enjoy it for a minute. It's kind of your first time on Reds, and I really want you to have a wonderful experience and get a chance to just be all of who you are. So,
well, I appreciate that. I'm going to say a little bit about this song, and then I'll say a short bit about the song that follows it. And if that's all right, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this song I did write in Nashville. It's from the first album I recorded. I was on a little vacation with my new wife. I was down by the swimming pool, and I was watching this little boy. His dad was in the pool. A common scene that you've seen. Dad was in the pool reaching up to the son who was standing on the ledge, and he was saying, "Don't be afraid. I'll catch you. I'll catch you." And the boy's, kind of going up to the edge, and no, Daddy, I don't want to. Eventually, the boy jumps in, and it just hit me over the head. Faith of a child is what it ended up becoming. But I started all that to say that I started thinking a lot about fear. I was watching this little boy, and I was thinking, well, even when you become an adult, you go through a lot of fear. And I know a lot of Christians right now that they seem to be living in fear because of some of the things that are happening in our world and in our culture. And so anyway, there's a scripture that you will know as soon as you hear what the song is. This song is called "Slave to Fear." Except for a small band of friends, I am alone. In this wrath-faded place, it is not my home. And I have seen a better way that makes all this world look black and gray. But while I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. While I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. Except for a small band of friends, I find it hard to trust anyone at all. But I still try to love my neighbor right, though to give my love might take my life. But while I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. While I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. Except for a small band of friends, I see a world ruled by people who don't know the truth. They make the laws that oppress the wise. The people of God they despise. But while I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. While I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. While I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. While I am here, I will not be a slave to fear. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I've had a little bit of a cold lately, so if you hear it coming out in my voice, that's what it is. I've been drinking tea all day to try and work it out. This last song I want to play is off of my latest album, and I went through a very serious clinical depression. I was a pastor in 2005. I had been a associate pastor for about 2 years. I started in 2005. I was a worship leader there as well, and I thought it was the culmination of everything God had done in my life. He had given me these gifts of music and a passion for ministry. And I'd been a pastor for about 2 years when I was hit by what several of the doctors described as the most severe case of depression that they'd ever seen. It was so serious and so profound that after trying literally every single antidepressant and every kind of medication available and therapy and everything you can imagine, they resorted to shock therapy. So I was given shock therapy about 3 years into the depression. They finally got to that last resort, trying shock therapy, and no treatments would help me at all. And the depression was so severe that I was basically in a fetal position in bed for what ended up to be about 7 years. And it was torturous, and it was suffering in every sense of the word. And I don't hesitate to say that. It was absolutely unbearably awful. And so I had been in that state for about 7 years, and suddenly, after I even had people lay hands on me. I was anointed in oil 3 or 4 times during that 7-year period. I tried everything. Suddenly, after 7 years, it was gone. I literally woke up one day and it was gone. It was like going from darkest night to brightest morning in the blinking of an eye. And it was obviously the Lord that healed me. And he allowed me. It's been that was in 2014 when I came out of it. So I've had several years completely, totally depression free. In fact, I've been restored so completely that it's almost as if it never happened. I mean, it did happen, but God has completely healed me in every imaginable way. And not only has he healed me, but he used that experience, as he did with Job and people like Joseph and Paul. He used that experience of profound suffering to do things in my faith that I could never have dreamed of or hoped for. He took that experience, and I can't say, I know he allowed it to happen. I'm not going to say he caused it to happen, but he certainly allowed it to happen. And what it did for my faith is just so incredible. It would take me hours to describe to you. But having said all that, when I was writing songs for my last album, I wanted to write a song specifically for people who are on the verge of committing suicide. And I know what that feels like, and it's a very real thing. And believe me, after 7 years of torment, those thoughts come really easy. And it was only by the grace of God that I survived that experience. And I wanted to write a song that was specifically aimed at people who were on the verge, who were really seriously thinking about it, and to talk them out of it, to get them to hold on just one more day, just hold on one more day. And so I wrote this song. It's called Survive. It can hit you like a flood when loneliness burns in your blood. Your hopes and dreams are long forgotten. You've gotta look up to see bottom. And it's so hard to face it, to make it through another day. I'll survive, I won't give up, I'm still alive. Yes, I'll survive, I'll break through. It's worth the fight, and so are you, so are you. No one waits for your arrival. When it's not life, it's just survival. There's no light inside the dark. Even love can't reach your heart. I know it's hard to face it, make it through this day. I'll survive, I won't give up, I'm still alive. Yes, I'll survive, I'll break through. It's worth the fight, and so are you. I know it's hard to face it, you gotta make it through this day. You'll survive, don't give up, you're still alive. Yes, I survived, love broke through. It's worth the fight, and so are you, so are you. So are you. So
Thank you, John. Thank you very, very much.
Can I say a quick word about that?
Oh, please, please, please. Yeah.
Uh, I want I want you to know that that song, you might think that it should basically come in with a message of hope from God, and it does. That there's a part in the song where I talk about how love broke through. I want to explain something that when a person is in a suicidal state, and I know this because I've been there, um, if they don't already have a faith in God, they find it difficult because of the state that they're in to grasp onto that kind of hope. And all that to say that I didn't want this song to beat anyone over the head with the message of the good news of the Lord. A lot of my music is intended to draw people into the music that I write, where the Lord is presented very clearly, and my faith is there for all to see. That particular song, I literally wrote that in the hopes that it would save someone's life.
Amen.
And so what I was hoping is that if someone heard that, it might give them some kind of hope that might lead them to live another day, maybe listen to some of more of my music where I express my faith. And I just wanted to say that because I've had people say, well, how come you didn't, have the Lord come in at the end of the song and save the day? And I just wanted to explain that's why, because I was really writing it for someone that is in a terrible state, and I did not want to make it a religious song. I wanted to make it a song that might get someone to hang on for just one more day, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I appreciate you adding that piece to it. Not because I felt that within the song, but more of part of what I do now is trauma recovery for people. And,
I didn't
there's
know
that.
that.
Yeah, I do that now. And so, what's interesting about dealing with trauma, and I'll keep this really tight and short, but when we write songs, we write music that we want to write. A lot of this push in the industry is write the song to sell, write the sellable song, write the radio song.
Yeah.
There's no hook to sing to, and all these kind of words. And I had a conversation like what you're talking about was, in this group that I'm with, they're like, send us all your songs. We want to make a compilation CD.
Yeah.
And they rejected everything that was turned in practically. They couldn't find 12 songs. They're like,
Because
no,
of,
we're looking for songs like this. We're looking for songs like,
yeah.
I won't mention names. We're looking for songs like that.
Yes.
I'm looking for songs that'll save a life. I want to write and play, and I want to do worship that'll save a life. And I think that is two schools of thought, which is why I'm glad you're back in Seattle. I look forward to working with you more.
Me too.
But I think right now the trauma that our world is going through, and the recognition that trauma doesn't have to be something horrific that happens to you. Trauma is something that is unexpected, that you are not prepared for, and it
Yeah.
leaves a memory or a tape or a moment in your life that for some reason you can't find your own way out.
Yes.
And God has a way of doing a work. I have a miraculous brain injury healing just like you do as well. And so thank you for all this tonight, all the artists that were here tonight with us. I think that was a great anchor for the evening, along with the word, along with the hope. I think that's why my heart is to work with Red's Room and to work with Christian Media Spotlight. It's because the one thing we seem to have in common is a passion for the songs that can save a life. We're not here to find the best artists. We're not here to showcase the best music. We're here to showcase the heart of the artist. And thank you, Red, for that opportunity for here. I'm grateful for COVID. I would not have met these people, and I would not have felt like I want to do what I used to do again and bring my platform back to the forefront. Because, like you said, we feel so out of the scope of what other people are doing that you feel your platform is misunderstood. So then, oh, I must not be like that. But thank you for your honesty, for your sharing of your honesty and your own trials. I thought that was Shelley.
Would it be all right? Would it be all right if I said something real quick?
No, this is that's up to Red at this point. We are we are on the clock of the last person. So other than this, only the people waiting is the Sleepless
Oh, okay,
Club and our
right.
viewers. So
Red's
Red, at
giving
this
me
point, we're
Red's
good.
giving me the
Okay,
thumbs
we got
up.
thumbs from Red. You're good.
All right. I just wanted to say that, you know, if anyone's listening to this right now and you are hurting, you're suffering, perhaps you're going through PTSD, anxiety, depression, heartache, grief from the loss of a loved one, um, you know, illness, whatever it is, I just want to say that I have a testimony that I really enjoy sharing. And if you have any interest in hearing the story of how God miraculously healed a very severe medical depression that doctors had thrown their hands up in the air and had given up on, I'd like to share with you. And if you want to reach me, please go to my website, which is just www.johnblackstone.com. My name is John, Jon, Blackstone.com. You can message me there. God healed me, and He has shown me some incredible things about how God actually calls us to rejoice in our sufferings, because there is a purpose and a plan when you are suffering. And all of the great saints through all the centuries, including all of the saints in the
Amen.
scriptures, including Jesus, all went through very severe suffering. And the scripture says that God God uses that as His tool to conform us into the image of Christ, but He also teaches us perseverance and character, and those
Yeah.
things give us hope. And so, anyway, I just wanted to say that I really feel that that's my calling, is to help people who are hurting. So, if anyone wants to reach me, they can message me through that website.
Amen. And then along with that, I will make a very shameless plug after many, many years of recovery and outreach. Anyone in need of help of trauma, like John, reach out to John. We'll get that story out there. For me, Reboot Recovery, I have live, I have Zoom. Don't think that your problem isn't too small or too big. Just come and ask for help. Just come and ask for help, and there are people out here who will help you.
Yes.
So,